What is going on? Governor's Chisgul here, and welcome to the final match of the Grand Finals for Season 3 of the Ark of Osiris League. Today, we have the pleasure of spectating two of the greatest Ark of Osiris teams we have ever watched, and that is V636 Vietnam Victory battling against OV Overlord, the Season 1 champions. Back again, Season 3, and this is the Grand Finals. For those of you tuning in for the first time, Grand Finals is a best 2 out of 3 matchup. We are watching the very best team from the realm of Anubis battling against the very best team from the realm of Horus. And what's more, they've taken away all of the special advantages that players that are in older kingdoms might have by making it so that everybody has access to literally every single commander, expertise to max level, as many talent resets as you could possibly want, which means what we're about to watch is a highly skilled matchup of the very best players on a very level playing field. This is going to be incredibly exciting to watch. The first matchup, as you can see, by the way, the score is 1-1. The first matchup was won by Overlord, rocking a very heavy Ark of Osiris-centric strategy. They basically said, hey, if I'm going to take every single Ark, we're going to score the most points, we're going to win, and they did. V636 took that opportunity to refine their building assault strategy, which, by the way, worked in the second matchup, and they aced it. They were able to pull out a victory, tying up the series. And this is the winner-take-all tiebreaker between Vietnam Victory and Overlord. Which team will be victorious? I can tell you that when we looked at where players placed their Oryx in the first matchup, everybody thought it's going to be OV. Then for the second matchup, everybody thought still it's going to be OV, and boom, V636 was the victor, and the people who placed Oryx on V636, man, they are like Scrooge McDuck. They got a whole swimming pool full of Oryx. They can just dive on in, baby. A cushy landing and a swimming pool full of Oryx. And now, if we look at where those Oryx are going, players think it's pretty even. I personally put a few Oryx over here because if I do end up getting that right, I have a higher win. But this is really, it could go either way. Players still slightly leaning toward OV. But truly, this is anybody's matchup. No one knows what's about to happen. And this is going to be an incredible game to watch. Possibly one of the greatest Ark of Osiris matchups ever in the history of Rise of Kingdoms. So we'll see what this is going to be, but livestream chat, you tell me. What do you think is going to be the final score of this matchup? Drop it into the chat now, who you think is going to be the victor and how much they're going to win by. Because I'll tell you, this is anybody's game. This is anybody's game. We're going to be joined as soon as we enter into the matchup by Dragothian. He's going to take us into the matchup. Both Dragothian and I make daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. Links to our channels are in the description. And of course, consider subscribing to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel for a whole bunch of helpful daily guides. Well, not daily, but regular guides on tips and tricks for how to play Rise of Kingdoms. Looking into this live stream chat, it's a blend of OV supporters and V636 supporters. Anybody's matchup, baby. Anybody's matchup. With 35 seconds until the match begins, very shortly we'll be entering into the battlefield. Dragothian will at that time take us into the match, and we'll be talking about what we should be looking for. But you tell us in the chat what you think is going to be the game-making play. Is it going to be an Ark? Which Ark? Third Ark? First Ark? What is going to be the game-defining moment for this battle of legendary proportions, for the incredible city skin, and the title of the Osiris League Grand Champion? We're now backing out and in. We can enter into the matchup, which we are about to do. Dragothian, let's join into the matchup now.
Oh, I'm so excited, Chisco. This is going to be a good one. I could not wait to jump in. I might have even come in a little early. I don't care. This is going to be a great matchup between two juggernaut alliances, like you said, and this is anybody's game. Also, like you said, this is going to be the cream of the crop matchup. Last week, we saw something that we didn't really think would happen. We saw a newer, quote unquote, alliance, V636, take on a tried and true OV who had won their first match against them and turned the tables, adjusting their strategy, really coming out on top with a few minor tweaks. And it wasn't just a little squeezing, eking out that victory. It was a statement win. And with being knotted up 1-1, giving us the blessing of having this third matchup for 3 weeks in a row, this is going to be the one that grabs all the marbles. They're going to get all the rewards, all the juicy skins. And I can't wait to see who's going to do that. To answer your question at the very beginning, what do we need to look out for? I think the best thing right off the bat to look out for is going to be those arcs, because we know that OV really likes to capture their arcs. That's how they tend to structure the foundation of their victories. And V636 noticed that and made some adjustments so that they could delay or deny at least one. And that's what got them their victory last week. So let's take a look as we start to get this match underway. And that's where I'm really going to start peeking in the middle. I'm curious to see what the number is on the top left corner when people start heading to the middle, Chisco.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. What we've observed is that the players that make it into the middle the fastest, or get there first, are the ones that have the best field position, and they turn that best field position into an arc victory. Because all things considered equal, and theoretically they are between these teams, if you get there first, you have the positioning to get the arc, and you have the advantage. And if you get the arc more than your opponent, you're likely going to win this matchup. But I have to say, what impressed me with V636 is their ability to take the structures off to the side. The Sky Altar, the Shrine of War, they put so much pressure on those buildings. I'll be really eager to see if they go with the same plan, but execute better, or they try something new. 3, 2, 1. Let's go, baby. The matchup begins.
Let's go. Let's go. Love seeing all of the armies pouring out the front. That's one of my favorite parts of the match. Everything else is not downhill, but at least evenly hilled coming out, because just looking at all the gold shinies, right? And like you said, everybody's got an equal account to play with, but all things are not equal, Chisco. Let's be real. We have the players and the strategies that make this matchup so fun to watch. I can't wait to see how this unfolds. Has there been changes to both sides of the strategy? Because OV really hadn't changed anything that they were doing up until last week. They did some on-the-fly adjustments and started really playing V636's game successfully, might I add, towards the end of the matchup, but it was just a little bit too late. Let's see what a fresh match looks like now, knowing that the strategy that they've used to get to this point with 2 season victories of Osiris League and getting to the Grand Finals this season, let's see if they change it, knowing that that's kind of been not solved, but at least countered by V636. And obviously the outpost being captured right off the bat, we're going to see the standard outpost obelisk captures, waiting for those forward structures to open up. Let's see what's going to go happening here, Chisco.
Yeah, V636 actually quick on the draw, grabbing the first obelisk of the matchup, followed now by OV. This portion of the matchup largely scripted. There's no interference, really, from the opposing team, so this is pure execution of the best entrance into the match. And, there are some variations based on where people are physically located at the start, which is why you noticed both teams teleport in a very synchronized way. It's a fully planned entrance into the matchup. OV now the first to get both obelisks. However, they are very closely followed by V636, so a roughly even start as nearly all structures that are currently available become captured, and the time starts ticking before they flip over to generating points.
Exactly right. And, everything is equal on the accounts. However, if you were looking at the obelisk on the bottom lane, which just got captured by Peter K on V636, you'll notice there's a caravan right beside that obelisk. The caravans are random. So there is a little bit of variation on every single match because those caravans can give you a very needed speed boost using commanders that have hasty departure talents and using speed commanders with cavalry. Those are huge deals. That could shave off 5-10 seconds, which is kind of what you saw there. Peter tried to hop in that caravan right beside that obelisk, but because he moved a little quicker than he needed to, he wasn't able to actually hop in and get that hasty departure bonus, and it ended up costing him an extra 5 seconds, which, again, at the end of the day, not that big of a deal. I don't see any T1 shenanigans from a rally perspective, although there is one coming. Here comes Double C on the bottom lane here with a few T1 cav marches. Not quite quick enough. There was no swift stride or anything like that popped for both sides to try and make this an actual capture opportunity. This is going to be giving them some very needed skill points for their alliance skills to be popping off throughout this match. And look at that markswoman taking the brunt of that rally. Let's see how she does.
Yeah, this is very much an intended maneuver here by both sides. When you lose troops, you generate energy, and that energy is used to activate crucial skills in battle. So both sides are trying to actually purposefully lose troops at this moment in time in order to ensure that they have the energy to activate the skills that they want to be able to activate. What I find so unusual is I don't know if they realize that if they don't switch things up a little bit with this markswoman, are they okay? They put some T5 in there. I guess they got the reinforcements.
Yeah.
It's just a little closer than I would like, because here comes more. Here comes more T1. Oh my gosh. Come on.
Oh my.
What is even happening here? Okay, proper captain now going in. Okay, now they're filling this obelisk because they're actually getting a little worried with all these T1s. Wow. This is really pushing the limits.
You see that T1 going after those T5? That was pretty fun to watch, at least for a half a second before the T1 melted and dissolved. So it looks like all four obelisks really getting the same kind of treatment. The top right one is cleared up for V636. Very top middle for OV's side, same thing, cleared up. Same thing on top left, cleared up. There's one march that's about to go down for V636, and there it is. So really just the bottom one here is the only one that's slightly contested. However, all of these are T1 marches, again, just generating those points. But that's always a little scary when you've got a yellow march with 2 seconds, 1 second, and now these buildings are opening. Let's see who gets what. Ooh, ninja capture on the front line top lane for V636 on the desert altar. Let's see if they can hold it. We've got quite a few reinforcements coming up. Killer B, Night B, Foolish. I'm just seeing what I want to see, Chisco. There's a Zenobia in there now as well. This could delay OV from getting some points from this desert altar for at least a minute or so.
Yeah, that was a really good quick grab on the part of V636, and that's not a coincidence. They have Zenobia up top as the garrison captain. So they were all in on this plan from the start, and they've executed it very cleanly as now OV swarms down the structure. And although Zenobia does a ton of healing, there are a lot of commanders that really can interfere with that and be very effective. That OV swarm is doing work. And by the way, Dragothian, if you were wondering whether or not it's too early to go to the middle, when I was on my way over here,
what do we see?
I saw OV making their way to the middle. I'm just saying I don't know if they're there now because I'm looking at this desert altar getting swarmed. They are there. So there you go. So the Ark of Osiris strategy being crucial. So now is when we get to see whether or not V636 executes on the same plan that they did previously. I saw the sky altar was blinking. I got a quick look. Just looks like it was a single march there, generating some energy. Will V636 push the structures, or will they go to middle? And what adjustments do you think OV has made, if any, to account for the loss in the previous week? I don't know, but I will say I am extremely impressed with the V636 reinforcements. That Zenobia was down to a real thread with her health, and she's still in it. And there's more reinforcements coming, and that's a Hannibal Barca, which to me, by the way, the main reason you bring a Hannibal Barca when you have access to every commander in the game is because you've actually got a fat march with extra troops in it.
More troops.
Here we are. Structure has fallen. If I'm in the shoes of V636, I'd swarm it right back right now. Why the heck not?
There. Yeah, they've
got the people, and now they're starting to do that because there's no proper captain yet in the Desert Altar. Now, there is an opportunity for OV to put their Artemisia in there. Oh, there we go. Zenobia's in. The Zenobia is in, and now the role is reversed.
All right, so let's take a peek.
V636 is swarming.
Let's take a peek. Yeah, they're definitely swarming. Once we kind of get an idea of what's going on there, at the bottom, V636 is starting to execute their strategy. We've got a Ramses. I believe this is Nebuchadnezzar. Not 100%. It's either Nebuchadnezzar or Cyrus. Yeah, it's definitely Nebuchadnezzar. So we got a Ramses Nebuchadnezzar rally getting swarmed down by OV. This was the difference because last week this rally was uncontested because they had OV had all their troops manning the Shrine of War right beside the lane, defending that and going to the middle. That caused some problems, and that allowed V636 to take that Sky Altar relatively with ease. Now here comes a solid swarm behind that rally. The rally was more of a brunt taker at the very beginning from a damage perspective from the garrison and the swarming armies from OV to defend. But just like on the Desert Altar on the other side, they've got reinforcements coming up to V636. This is definitely in danger. I could see this going down right before this battle in the middle starts in just over 3.5 minutes. I don't see anybody in the middle no, I take that back. Everything started loading immediately, and there's tons of red and blue now. So there's a lot of things going on in the middle and on the outside edges. I think V636 is really trying to play to their strategy and strength, which is take those structures and maybe make a little bit of contest towards the middle. OV's positioned exactly the way they need to be. They're in a ball. They're forward of the temple, and it is a decent distance for V636 to have to march through to get to the temple.
The thing that I've always found so impressive about OV, building off what you've shared here, is that they always try to bring exactly the right amount to get the job done. So while some alliances might overcorrect in adjusting to the V636 strategy, typically not OV.
They took it. They took that altar.
They were able to get it. Very
and here
impressive.
Goes the fight in the middle.
War drums in the middle. Mystical formation in the middle. Very popular skills to activate, providing a huge amount of stats to the brawl in the middle. And now we see the choices these teams have made playing out. The choices in what commanders to bring. And do you see what I see? Have you ever seen so many Artemisias in the same place?
Not that many, but definitely a good chunk of them. What I'm seeing and finding very interesting, especially on the OV side, is I'm seeing Constantine Mulan, which is a great combo. You have a debuff with Constantine and then Mulan with the buffs to the army around it. That's a great support army to have in a cluster like this. These guys are really playing on the let's AoE damage everything down. I'm seeing about even trades when it comes to the armies going away, 3 to 4 to 3 to 4 going on each side, and constant reinforcements coming from both sides, although it looks like maybe a few more coming for OV than our V636. But V636 has the added advantage of having 3 altars, and the altar on the outside lane that is supposed to be for OV has a minute and a half before it starts ticking in favor of V636, and there is support here for V636 to maintain this and start generating some points, some extra points for their favor, having a 150 point per minute advantage right now with an OV rally coming in, also a Ramses Nebuchadnezzar as well. That seems to be the going trend right now. Instead of Attila Takeda, having Ramses Nebuchadnezzar, which is not bad in this situation because there's not a whole lot of open field armies to swarm this archer rally down because of what it took to get this altar in the first place.
Yeah, I am very impressed here. OV seems to have the stronger commitment in the center. Many marches now from V636 being sent back. Yeah. With 45 seconds until the Ark spawns. It's looking like OV is going to have this Ark cleaned up and the center ready to bring that Ark back to their own side. I do really like the choices of marches, especially as you mentioned that Constantine Mulan. Massive debuff, massive buff. The Mulan offering a bunch of march speed. And it looks like the volume of commitment to the middle by OV has done the job, and they took their altar back.
They sure did. And, looking at this middle fight here, right? Do you think they've timed it out? Because they basically just cleaned it up, right? With 10 seconds to spare, 3 seconds left until this arc spawns. And it's basically blue in the middle right when the arc pops. I almost have to think that they've done this once or twice, and they figured out how long it's going to take to clean up a modest effort from their opponent in the middle with massive reinforcements from OV really taking it. Now, that being said, Ninja Grab from V636 running with it is the Chandra rally, or army. Of course, it's going to go down instantly, but wow, a little bit of a high five to the face there from V636 to OV and the 40 marches that are standing there trying to capture that arc. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So OV has executed well on their plan for the start of this, getting the arc. Now they need to score it. Noteworthy that V636 has taken yet another altar. However, I'm concerned for V636. They're getting point disruption, which is good, but they don't seem to be able to hold on to these altars for long enough to actually generate some points as well. So the point disruption is good, but I don't know if this start is enough, given that this seems to be their game plan, unless we think that they're going to go all in on some arcs later on.
Yeah, it's very possible. And again, the first arc is always weird, right? The first arc is the lowest point arc, obviously, in the match. We've seen V636 not go all in on the middle arc every single match. I think this grand finals, they've gone in the middle to contest, but they haven't gone in to necessarily be like, this is our arc, you're not going to take it. They've done just enough to make it to where you have to work for it. But while you're working for it, we're going to go ahead and take all your structures on the outside. And they've done just that. Now, they haven't kept them like they have before, but I will say they have made a slight adjustment. So on the top lane, on the desert altar that you're looking at, they have a Wu inside now, not a Zenobia. A Zenobia is fantastic against Attila Takeda and even some of these skill damage rallies if you've got a Wu or an anti-skill damage commander behind her. But Wu is a fantastic anti-swarm commander. And with that being said, that's basically what's going to be happening on the front lines here from OV. So V636, I think, making the right call here, swapping the garrison to maybe something a little more anti-swarm, because until that rally hits, that's all they can do.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. If you're going to go for buildings, it's the start of the match. The arc is worth less points. This is the time to go for buildings, and that's what V636 has done. And OV seems to think, you know what? Buildings are cool and all, but the arcs are still 3,000 points for the first one. I'm going to take the 3,000, which is a reasonable play. Look at all this aggression toward this altar. And I am impressed with how long V636 has held this now that all the folks from the middle have made their way over to this altar to contest it.
Yeah, and it's looking solid, too. The garrison's in white. It's Wu. I don't see the second commander because there's so many graphics happening, but I'm assuming it's probably, a Theodora or a YSS or something to that effect, maybe even a Zenobia behind. I'm not 100%, but there's more OV pouring down here, but going home relatively quickly, too. There's another Ramses Nebuchadnezzar rally coming in, doing some damage to this Wu garrison. I'm not sure if maybe there's just not enough separate individuals around this desert altar for V636 to actually swap out armies, or if this is all one or two or three people. That being said, I'm curious now. Once this arc gets to its destination, are they gonna hold it, or are they gonna kind of go ahead and capture it really quick?
Well, did you notice, by the way, Valiant Stand activated to defend this structure?
I did.
Huge defensive maneuver. V636, that's the all-in play on holding the structure. I mean, they're using those precious skills that could have been in the middle instead to maintain the points to the side. I actually love that adjustment on their part because it's working. It's working really well. And now they're getting points from this building. That's the thing they've got to do, not just take these buildings, but hold them. And I actually really like that adjustment toward holding buildings. That's really impressive.
Well, I guess the other question is, does that force some kind of a damage or defense skill from OV. I mean, is that something that's going to force points for OV to spend that maybe they didn't plan on spending? I'm not sure if it will. I think eventually OV will grab it, although maybe it'll take a little longer without it. There goes the rally down for OV, and there's still plenty of V636 here, although it is starting to get a little low with this swarm happening. They have the right commanders. They've got tons of skill damage. I don't know if Zenobia is the right swarm choice, but she's here obviously to garrison once they take it. You have Alex, you got Ethelfled, YSG, Guan. I mean, those are the right commanders to swarm this stuff down. But V636 holding on, and again, I mean, it is now, they did capture, OV did capture that Ark, but it's a 1,500 point game right now, and they're down. OV is down by 220 points per minute. That's basically, I mean, that's not much time at all if they keep doing this and harassing. Speaking of harassing, I mean, as soon as I thought about it myself, I look at the bottom, and sure enough, here comes some more armies. Now OV is countering as well. They're sending some things down to the bottom Shrine of Life there too. So there's some maneuvering happening on the outside, away from the middle, away from the desert altar. I mean, there's just this is why it's so critical to understand the map and where your pieces are. This is a chess match. This is not checkers, folks. You need to be feinting in different directions. You need to be, hey, I'm going to be here, but no, not really. I'm actually over here. That's how you win these matches, and that's what really helped V636 secure their win last week.
Yeah, I like the chess metaphor because once you commit your pieces onto the board, you can't instantly correct. It takes time. It takes moves, many moves. And so once you make a commitment in the Ark of Osiris, it's a big deal. That's why, in fact, OV, every single one of their members, last we had chatted with them, is using a civilization that grants 5% march speed.
Yeah,
you want that extra speed.
You have to get to where you're going to move. Now, I got to jump in here. Sorry for interrupting. Look at the temple already. So 6 minutes, you're talking about committing, right? V636 is now committing to the middle. They're in front of the Temple of Osiris on the OV side. This is kind of, again, what they did last week. They chose an arc that they wanted, and this might be the one that they want to do that on. There's steady reinforcements pouring in from V636. They're in the right position to go ahead and possibly block OV from being able to grab this. Let's see if OV pushes. This may be the time to push because it's about 5.5 minutes left. There's plenty of armies coming in for OV in the middle. They're not all here. Oh man, these guys have one of those no man's land standoff situations going on. I love watching this because as soon as the command goes, you just see all hell break loose in the middle. It's curious to see if V636 will be the one to make the first move, or if OV will make the jump and go ahead and start trying to push and maybe outmaneuver on the other side of the temple to make sure that V636 does not grab this arc first.
The ebb and flow of this battle, the yin and yang, is impressive as we see OV taking an altar and a Shrine of Life. So we've seen a reversal of roles. V636 now in the middle, postured like they mean it. They're here to get this arc and this arc alone, but it costs them buildings. And OV, it's as if they knew. They capitalized on the fact that V636 went big mid, and they took some huge point generating buildings, and now OV is in the lead in the points per minute.
That's very true. We got 3 altars in favor of OV. This is what we saw for V636's side. However, again, this arc is worth 3,500 points. Now, they did lose the Shrine of Life as well. They're trying to get it back from a Chandra-led garrison, Chandra William, which seems to be what the rally was, to take that structure, which is, you know, a good rally, not so good garrison. We do have, again, a couple things here and there across the rest of the map, but I believe, for the most part, and they're going to try, you know, V636 is going to try and get the Sky Altar on the top right back onto their side with 1.5 minutes left until it fully captures for OV. I think there's going to be so many marches in the middle, though, for V636. I think they're just going to start naturally touching, and the battle's just going to kick off just because there's no more room for more marches to get in here. There's a forward march here from Jan for V636, or J-on. I'm not sure if that capital A is for a reason, but that Guan army is dangerously close to being able to hear the conversations happening in that OV huddle. I'm curious to see if they go ahead and target that Guan first to take away that 3-second silence that Guan does very, very well, and the AoE damage that comes along with it. Now he's pulling back just a smidge, thinking probably the same thing I was. Maybe I'm a little too close. I do see some Nebuchadnezzars coming up from the bottom here too. 3, in fact. That's an interesting choice. There is some AoE damage from that. Usually Nebuchadnezzar is used in rallies, although open field, there is some damage to be had.
Yeah, I mean, the area of effect damage of Nebuchadnezzar has the same template as Ethelfled. And here we go. Boom. OV all at once, waiting for us to say go. Nope, started on their own. Here is the brawl. No skills activated yet. There it is. Mystical Formation for V636. To the death activated for OV. The all-in play for this Ark of Osiris.
And a counter?
Here we go. No counter activated as of yet. That is a very well-timed skill. V636 out of the action points perhaps needed to make that skill or any other skill active because they defended the altar earlier, right? That cost them some very crucial points.
Yeah, and it's still a 1,500-point match to school with surprisingly more OV marches running. Well, now we're starting to see some of the red marches.
It's one-sided. It's one-sided in the middle. It's all marches of V636 to the death, doing the thing that it is designed to do. Send those marches home. We're looking at a ratio of 5-1, 6-1, maybe more. OV now activating Mystical Formation, doubling down on this Ark of Osiris. This is a crucial moment for V636. With 1 minute and 40 seconds left for the Ark to spawn, this could be a full clear at the temple before the Ark is even spawned in, and that is what we're seeing. OV, left, right, front, and center. You send a march home. You send a march home. You send a march home. Get out of here. Wow.
And by the way, while all that was happening, a little bit of a ninja grab of the obelisk on the bottom there for OV. And it's got a Constantine in there, although it's just one army with maybe a little bit of troops in there. It goes back in V636's favor. But that is a little bit more of a critical move than many people might think. That's 3 minutes that V636 cannot teleport from their home base to that obelisk. That may have been part of the plan, is to get some more people over here to help with that middle fight. Now that maybe they have to save up some of their alliance skill points so they can go ahead and do the same thing that OV just did to them, popping that fight to the death and maybe a couple extra skills. But we know that there is counters to that, and with OV really delegating all of their alliance skill points to the middle versus V636 spending a few on the outside structures, that could be the difference maker. They're going to get this Ark here in about 22 seconds. There's just not much left here for V636 to really put up any resemblance of a fight. And OV, again, showing their dominance in the middle. There's a few little running marches here for V636 to maybe do a quick ninja grab, but they're even running away. They know that this is a lost cause. So great job again to the middle for OV. They just smashed it like they always do. OV going ahead and grabbing this thing here in the next 5 seconds and escorting it back home. Now there is armies and rallies going on the desert altar already for V636, understanding what just happened. I think that was a little bit of a statement middle grab there for OV.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The cost of using the skill to defend this altar was extreme. They could have used to the death or anything to match what OV had done in the middle, and instead they couldn't. And now OV has the Ark, and they have the point lead. That is a very good position to be in.
You know, I don't see any rallies coming to the Shrine of War. That would have been my first play to try and counter what just happened. They're escorting it that direction. They've done it. This is the second time now that they've done that. I definitely would be moving all my pieces on the bottom to this Shrine of War. However, again, because that obelisk was captured for OV for that little bit of time, there's no more support coming from reinforcing cities porting into this obelisk. So it's got to come from the people that are already here. And I have to assume that the majority, if not all, were just smashed in the middle and now replenishing their armies. And look at this desert altar. All of those OV marches have decided, you know what? Let's go do some damage on the forward front line here. They've all come over to this desert altar on the bottom lane, just like we're looking at the top lane for V636 right now. The bottom lane looking very blue at this desert altar because of all these armies coming in from the middle. And V636 may end up keeping and cleaning it up because these are all fresh marches because they were just recently smashed in the middle. I just saw a Saladin Lubu combination from Maple, by the way. I'm a little curious as to that combination.
You know, this is a very precarious moment for V636. They've got to make some big changes to what's happening in their execution and their game plan in order to continue to be in this matchup and to have a striking distance on the victory. They're going to have to get the next Ark. There's no question about it.
I agree.
And I expect OV is going to score this right away. So in order to get back into this matchup, V636 has to get the Ark, or they have to have a massive change to their building game. And the thing is that it hasn't worked so far. They
really
are
hasn't.
aggressing, but they didn't get the north altar. They're working on the south altar, and they're not going to get that either. So perhaps OV has made these slight adjustments needed in order to hold on to these structures, and it's working.
Look at the pouring of dead armies for OV coming back, having swarmed that desert altar that we were looking at just before. So many armies coming back. I wonder if that was their, knowing that they didn't have much with those armies left, obviously having just completely demolished everything in the middle, probably a half health army or less, all of them. Maybe that was their ability to go ahead and generate some more alliance skill points, just like they do with the T1s. That's basically a T4, T5 version or flavor of it. Attack things that are a lot bigger than you with a lot smaller amount of troops. Quick way to get home, and also a quick way to generate some more alliance skill points. And Doctor Strange escorting from the Ark all the way over to the obelisk on the bottom lane here, without any incident whatsoever. There is nothing red to speak of within a 2-screen radius, although now it looks like finally V636 is starting to go towards this Shrine of War in the middle. I wonder if that's the right play now. I think that would have been the right play maybe 3 minutes ago. I think right now, though, with the Ark about to be captured and likely this next Ark, like you said, Chiskel, being very critical to the winner of this match. It's only a 700-point game right now, but that's going to change to over 4,000 points in favor of OV with this Ark capture.
Yeah, the thing I find myself so concerned about for V636 is that in previous matchups, they always seem to be where OV was not. Mm-hmm. And that allowed them to take buildings. But that is not the case anymore. So much so that now, everywhere they go, OV is fully countering what they're doing. So I don't know what V636 needs to do, but that feels very fractured in terms of execution of a strategy compared to what they were doing previously. It feels like they're kind of going for this, going for that, seeing what sticks, rather than perfectly executing a perfectly timed plan.
I'm chuckling to myself, Chiskel, because just as the Ark was captured, look in the middle.
Uh-oh.
Look at the middle. They're already there. They're already there. They know they're going to win this match on winning the Arks. Now,
all 4 John Wick marches in the middle.
And more pouring in from the top. So, I mean, they're going to lose a structure here on the bottom lane. That Sky Altar does go in favor of V636. There's a nice swarm around it. They took it. They waited to reset and get everybody where they needed to be because, again, we talked about it, right? That Shrine of War is critical for the damage buffs as well as the defense buff, but also because if you can take that, everything that's there can move into the middle from behind, and then you got a sandwich situation going on. OV having the right pieces in the right place, seemingly, because of, again, last week they didn't have that. V636 took massive advantage of being in the right place at the right time, and OV just being a little bit out of lockstep, which is not familiar for OV. So it was really hard for them to come up with the fix, right, on the fly. And with that being said, 4 altars now in favor of V636. This other one at the top is going to go back down, but that's disruption, right? And they needed to do that. Right now it's a 250, 270 point per minute favoring V636 match. But again, the middle is so critical. This next Ark is so critical. It's 4,000 points. There's 25 minutes left, so technically 2 more arcs are available to go ahead and get captured. That's 8,500 points up for grabs, and that could be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I'm still concerned for V636 in this matchup. Although they've got the disruption, they've now lost both of the altars. They need point gain. They need a catch-up, and they have to get an arc. And if it's not this arc, which arc is left? One arc with like 5 minutes to score it? They have to get an arc, and they have to do it now. And they don't have the numbers right now to do it.
You know, just trying to big brain this, right? Trying to big brain move this, like my daughters would say. I think that V636 had the right idea. They needed to disrupt the points. That's just, they need to minimize the impact of 2 arcs against them back to back. Right now, it's a 3,500 point game. That's the last arc. So they've kept it within 1 arc, right? 1 more arc capture in their favor and they win. So they're still very much in the driver's seat of their own strategy. Now, does that strategy pay off? Because right now, again, they are pouring into the middle at 5 minutes, which in any other matchup, not against OV, they would be way early. They'd be 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes earlier than their opponent. But again, we're talking about OV. They start heading to the middle before they capture the previous arc. They know that this arc is the deciding factor. 15,000 points capturing 4 or 5 arcs is a game winner, especially if you're provisioning on the back end, which we haven't talked about this match yet, but you know is happening in the background. It's almost a 3,000 point match now instead of 3,500 as well. So little bits are catching up in favor of V636. Just keep it. You just got to keep it within that 1 arc and then get that last arc. That's the critical piece. And can they do it? I mean, can V636 pull that out? It may not be as a resounding of a win as it was last week because they had already captured an arc at this point in the match. But they don't have to necessarily capture the second one. To capture the 4th one, the same result will happen.
I have a feeling here, Dragothian, that we're about to see To the Death be used by V636.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to happen. I don't think we've seen any skills recently from V636. So I think this is their all-in time. This is their all-in play. And they've got time. Both sides have time. What do you think, by the way, about how both sides just keep waiting? Do you think they should engage sooner or just keep waiting? Like, what's the story behind this waiting game? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think with the buffs, the more you have in your bubble than your opponent, the better. So if you can get those extra 5 armies that are coming into the middle for OV, or the extra 10 behind that, or the extra 15 behind that, the better, right? Because those skills are area based. They're not, the majority of them anyway, are not full map based. The ones that are being used, because they're higher stats, are placement based. You have to place those skills on the ground to cast those stat buffs. And with V636 having the amount of troops they have here, more are pouring in. I don't necessarily know if this is the right place to use Fight to the Death. They're in a they're in a bad position right now. If they use Fight to the Death, it's just to stay in the conversation. You really want to use Fight to the Death whenever you have a strong advantage, especially if you know you need to have this arc. You should have been here earlier. It's going to be tough for them to grab this, even with Fight to the Death. And here we go. There's War Drums from V636. There's Mystical Formation from OV.
Mm-hmm. We need more. We need more from V636 if they're going to do this.
We always want more.
We need more. It's not enough. They both have to make up for the position, and they've got to wipe out the opposing side.
I see the graphic for Fight to the Death on my screen, though, but I didn't see the actual casting of it.
It might have been activated. And there we go. We see the telltale sign. There it is. Fight to the Death. We see the telltale sign, which is all the marches of OV getting sent home. It's one-sided.
There's Heaven's Grace.
Heaven's Grace. Big heal for the entire side of OV. Is that going to be counter enough? I don't think it is.
And
War Drums for OV doing what they can to stay in on this arc. We do see some V636 marches getting sent home. Okay. Mostly OV getting sent, though. As long as V636 keeps committing to the middle, then maybe it'll be enough. And I think if you're in the V636 shoes, you've got to go commit to the middle. By the way, moments earlier, before we looked in on this, we were looking at the altar up north, where it did seem like OV was overcommitting to the defense based on the number of troops that were being sent by V636 to pressure that. So that might be working out. Troops now from both sides being sent back. It's really unclear to me which ones.
And it did. They just took that altar and they're taking the middle fight. This is going to be interesting.
It wasn't an overcommitment from OV then. I'm impressed with V636's ability to take that. I was not expecting that.
I think they got a few more reinforcements as the fight started because everybody went to the middle for OV. It was an all-in, all-hands call, mandatory meeting in the middle of OV, and they decided that this was more important, and rightfully so. This is 4,000 points, Jiskel. This is a game changer if V636 can hold and grab this arc. Now, 30 seconds left before this spawns. I do see a lot more blue marches going back home, but I also see a lot of blue marches coming back in to replace. So this may be a longer fight than what OV had done in the previous two, where they kind of cleaned it up. About now is when OV had really cleaned up the middle and was able to really just walk back with no struggle whatsoever. OV getting pushed back now as well. V636 really starting to impose their will.
Yeah. I mean, it's an emergency meeting in the middle, and we don't know who's getting voted out yet. This is wild. I honestly don't know who it's going to be, and this might actually come down to who's the better arc carrier, which is unusual. There it is. John Wick with
Capture
the
on
arc.
The bottom side, though.
Ooh, wrong side of the temple. Has extra distance to walk. Let's see if they're able to knock them down, and they are. Valiant Stand. Wow, now that's a flashy move from V636, all in on keeping that structure instead of being in the middle. I don't know, man. Slouty, alliance leader for OV, stepping up to the plate. Arc is in your hands. He's starting to march that back toward his side.
He's going laterally because he has to, because it's on the bottom side of the temple. And with, seemingly unbelievable odds, OV, there are still a ton of OV marches in the middle here. I can't believe that V636 has not mowed through all of these marches. And I've scrolled out just a little bit to see the dots. And I got to tell you, I see more blue than red, Jiskel.
I see that too, and I'm concerned for V636 that they slightly undercommitted to the middle. I don't know that taking that altar was worth it. They need this one arc. One arc.
Oh my goodness.
And they use their all-in ability. I don't know.
Wow.
Because all of the members of OV are so low, they're able to knock down these carriers with the small number of marches that V636 has here. But if they don't put some serious commitment to the middle, and we see, a dozen more marches coming from OV to the middle right now? If we don't see more serious commitment to this arc, OV is going to capture it, and I don't know how winnable this match is without one arc capture for V636.
This is where it might make some sense for OV to hold the arc. If they can grab it and get it back to their territory, I would hold it until about the 8-9 minute mark. Maybe even 9 minutes is fine. I would hold it until that. Look at all those people trying to grab that. They know they need this arc. If OV can grab this arc and get it to a safe spot, they've won the match, because they can control whether another arc spawns or not. And with 16 minutes left, they just need to hold it for about 6 or 7 minutes. And that's easily doable with the arc timer on the top left. So this is fully in control of OV's hands. I think they're going to commit everything they can in the middle to make sure that they secure this arc. There goes Insatiable Desire, by the way, as well. Wow.
Yeah. Looking to do that caravanning and get some extra march speed on their way to caravans. A smart play for sure. The extra march speed. Boom. John Wick. Carrier is down. V636 able to contest in the middle largely because all of these marches from OV are so low, but look at that. Like half a dozen marches sent back from V636 all at once. I think OV has the critical mass in the middle to basically eliminate any contenders that make their way up here, which means we've got a weird situation. But speaking of weird situations, rally in on the Shrine of War, which is where that thing is going to go. That is exactly the play you were calling earlier, Dragothian, saying, please do this. Please, please. Look at this interesting combination of a Takeda primary with Attila secondary, trying to get those mobility talents going.
You know, could have been the Ark carrier that was meant to be, you know, from Dai Chan there, but wasn't. So going and trying to help send a helping hand over to this Shrine of War rally. Now it's going in favor of Zenobia here. This Ramses Nebuchadnezzar rally either didn't have enough troops in the rally itself or got swarmed a little bit before we got over to it. But I was staring at this for the better part of 2 minutes, just trying to see if it was going to go their way. I was going to jump in and say, but wait, there's more. But no, there's not more. This rally's going down. Great defense by OV. John Wick noticing the same thing we did and coming over there to help out that Zenobia garrison. And with that being said, there needs to be another rally already sent right this second. If they can do it, it's a 1 minute rally with probably about a minute and a half walk time. If they can delay this Ark from getting moved over more and more and grab the Shrine of War, which is going to be difficult, right? There's a lot of blue marches right there. But that's really the play. That's really the only play. It's less than a 1,000-point match right now. But again, OV controls the burst of points at the end. And unless V636 has out-provisioned one of the best provisioning alliances in the game by 3,000-4,000 points, OV controls the destiny of this match.
Well, color me impressed, though, by the V636 defense of the Desert Altar on the OV side of the map. They are still up 300 points per minute, and they've been doing that for a long time. They've nearly evened up the score, but allow me again to express my concern that evening up the score is fine, but is that really enough?
Well, no. That's what we're saying. So if they capture this Ark at the right time with not enough time left on the clock for another Ark to be captured, and again, that critical time ends up being around the 9 minute mark or so, 9 minutes and 30 seconds-ish. Right now, I'm staring at the bottom obelisk waiting for this next rally to go out against the Shrine of War. That's what I'm staring at. I'm waiting to see how long this thing takes to get fired out, and I'm waiting to see, you see all the marches coming up towards that Shrine of War. They got the same idea. It just needs to happen quicker. And of course, you can't speed up time, right? You wish you could, but you can't. I'm sitting here staring, waiting for this rally to go out, and I'm just not seeing it yet. I don't know if there's only one rallier down here instead of two. That's possible. It looks like maybe from NP is where it's going to come from. On the bottom area here, he's got 2.5 million kills during this match. This is going to be interesting. They're already passing the Shrine of War there, Chisco. This may be, again, a little bit too delayed. Ugh.
Desert Altar down.
Wow.
They're doing it. They're going for the buildings.
Wow.
They're doing it. They're tying up OV in carrying this Ark for way longer than it should take. Way longer than it should take. And they're capitalizing by smashing these buildings.
Well, you figure what? It's a 450 point per minute advantage for V636. There's 11 minutes in the match, 11 and a half. If they continue with this kind of trend, I mean, that could basically make up for an Ark. And then you just got to hope that you maybe out-provision just a smidge longer, because at this point, again, 9.5 minutes, the Ark is done. John Wick trying to grab this. My goodness.
V636 may be rewriting the playbook before our very eyes. Look at them holding this Desert Altar. All 4 altars, man. All 4. This is unbelievable. I can't believe what we are watching unfold, where OV is so heavily committed to escorting this Ark that they are sacrificing astonishing points in these structures right now. And that may be the trick play that V636 has wanted to play the whole freaking time.
That would be next level if this is exactly how it was planned out.
But look at all these marches escorting this Ark this whole time. The wrong place to be. That was the wrong place to be because they took both altars.
They did.
dozens of marches escorting the Ark that didn't need to be there, and it's costing OV dearly.
But is it enough? That's the thing. Is it enough? Losing
I think it is.
The Arks. Losing all the Arks, Jessica. This is going to be...
They still hold all the altars. All
for
4.
Now. They have
sure,
to hold them
for now.
the very end.
I think OV has to score this Ark, and I think they got to try to get another one.
No.
I don't think... Dude, look at the points per minute. It's almost 500 points a minute that this goes on, and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Well, I mean, there's 30 seconds until it becomes a moot point. Then Gia's holding it. Gia's going to hold it. I personally think this is the right play. I also think they need to get on there and get some of these buildings back immediately to make this work. Otherwise, if they let V636 hold these structures for another 6-7 minutes,
I don't know, man. I don't think it's enough. I don't think they have enough speed to get this done. This building game is too strong right now.
Look at the bottom lane coming out from the Shrine of War. OV marches just spreading out like ants after defending that Shrine of War.
They have a dominant position at the forward altar, sky altar. They have a dominant position. Oh, what timing for the game to crash. They've got dominant positions on all these altars.
Right now, everything's blinking. Shrine of Life is still under assault from V636 as well, and there is nobody there to help either side. It's just Garrison versus Rally. Let's see who wins. This altar on the top lane for the Desert Altar is still in favor of V636. All 4 altars are still in V636.
890 points a minute, Dragothian.
Oh my goodness.
800.
This Ark is still not captured, by the way. This Ark needs to be captured, and they need.
It was a huge mistake to not capture that Ark. There we go. They need more Arks. 600 points per minute right now for V636. The world is upside down. Oh my goodness. Mystical formation. John Wick using that now to try to take an altar. But is that enough? This is the home altar of V636. The closest, easiest one to reinforce. Oh my gosh. The building game of V636 is unfathomably strong.
Wow. If they can hold this, and I gotta say in V636's favor, the timing was perfect. If this was going to be the play, they timed it beautifully, because they couldn't, more often than not, right? We see this, we see the Ark getting captured by OV, and then we're like, okay, well, what do we do to fix this? And then by that point, when we're asking that question, it's already too late. It's already too late. V636 did it a minute before we would have started to ask that question. And again, going to the strategy, right? This may have been the play all along. Hey, we're going to go for the middle. You should really commit everything, guys. You should really, because we're going to get this Ark. No, we're not. We're going to take all your buildings instead. Is it enough, though? That's my question. It is 600 point per minute in favor of V636. There is 7 minutes left. That's 4,200 points. That's well enough. But again,
all
can they
4 altars. Teams of this caliber don't do this by accident. This is 100% all-in skill, all-in plan right now. Ooh,
top desert
Captain swap. They may lose it. Constantine Captain. They may lose this.
Still good. Oh,
Ethelflight Captain. They're in trouble. Big trouble. Big trouble at this desert altar.
That's going to turn
one piece of the puzzle. YSS. Okay, we're back in business. We're back in business. I don't love it, but we're back in business as more marches arrive. I cannot believe.
Do they have Valiant stand up again?
That they're holding on to these structures. There it is. Valiant stand. Wow. Being cast on a different altar because there are a lot of things that have to stay in place for V636 to pull this off. But they're about to get ahead on the leaderboard. I'm telling you, OV needed another Ark, brother.
Unbelievable.
OV needed every Ark.
In OV's plan was not lose all of our altars for 10 minutes. Okay, this is not part of OV's strategy. It's not lose all of our biggest point generating structures for a fifth of the game. And now noticing that, John Wick using Insatiable Desire again, knowing they're going to need every provisioning point they possibly can get. This Zenobia holding up strong, having gone through 5 different garrison changes in less than 10 seconds because they're just shuffling in and out. I have never seen a defense of forward enemy structures like this in my year of casting this system.
The most impressive defense. Unquestionably, the most impressive forward altar capture defense we've ever seen. Ever. Valiant stand working so beautifully. Unbelievable. I mean, it lasts 5 minutes, and like most teams, they get like 30 seconds of value out of that before they lose the structure. But V636, oh no, baby.
Has the lead.
They enjoy all 5 minutes.
The lead.
There it is. There it is. 600 points per minute for V636. OV needed every arc they could possibly get. And forfeiting that opportunity, man, for that last arc was a big mistake. It is costing them.
That last arc would have been heavily contested. And yes, V636 would likely have lost these 2 forward structures. But again, the damage had been done at that point, right? Owning 2 forward altars for 5 to 8 minutes, that's huge. That's basically half an arc, if not more.
This altar defense is astonishing. It's astonishing.
Divine
Aid. Unprecedented, as now one of the altars has fallen. But we're still 740 points per minute for V636 to the 290 for OV. This cannot be what OV was expecting the scoreboard to look like.
Not at all. And they did just lose that South Sky Altar finally. But again, damage is done. It's a 100-point game in favor of OV. It's going to come down to the provisioning. Who out-provisioned the other opponent? I just saw John Wick use Divine Aid. I don't know if that's the only skill that he just had available and didn't have any more coming up in the next 3.5 minutes, or if he mistook the graphic for Divine Aid for Valiant Stand. I have no idea. But he used it, and they already had 15 teleports. Heaven's Grace being used, that's a 6-point skill for V636 as well, trying to hold these structures as long as possible. 230-point match. This might be one of those matches that comes down to the final points, and that's where those seconds
at the
beginning matter.
Look how close it is. This is a 100-point matchup, Dragothian. This is a 100-point matchup, as now more points being scored. Provisioners on their way home, maybe a little bit early. Wow. Wu Zetian, now the captain. Oh my gosh. Everybody's been captain. Tap in Wu Zetian. Tap in Artemisia. Tap in Zenobia. Tap in Constantine. Bring them all in. Everybody you got. We gotta hold on to this thing.
OV in the lead now. I'm just staring at the point total now at this point. That's all we can really do. I mean, just keep staring at the Desert Altar, right? And then keep staring at the point total. Because right now, it just keeps going back and forth. Provisioners are coming in. Swift Stride or something like that, a running charge, whichever one's the map-based movement speed skill, that would be very, very apt to use right now if they've got it. Although I'd be surprised with all the other skills that we've seen, the battle buffs, the Heaven's Grace, the fight to the death, all that, Insatiable Desire. There's only 6 spots for these to have, and then you've got Divine Aid, obviously. That's probably it. There's probably no movement speed buffs with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. OV has been pouring in provisions here. We're looking at what? Almost a 2,000. Now it's 1,500. Now it's 1,300. Nope. Now
here's the thing, Dragothian. Anybody coming home with provisions with more than a minute left in the match came home too soon. They should have been provisioning for longer, baby. Oh, look at it, evened up.
10-point game.
Neck and neck to the finish line. Wu Zetian holding on to this Desert Altar for dear life.
And something to keep in mind.
Astonishing.
Just go with 1 minute left. Currently, V636 has now it's 300 points per minute. There's 1 minute left. That's 300 points if they can keep everything as is. Let's see if it becomes less than a 300-point match, because it won't be provisioning that will have won the game. It will have been that last minute of building, holding, and this Desert Altar may finally go down. My goodness.
I don't know.
It's still a lot there.
It may not even matter. The points may have already ticked up.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, at this point, they've done what they needed to do. The question is purely provisioning now. Which side is provisioned more? OV with the lead by 1,500 points. Now is when those provisioners need to be getting home. And if there aren't more provisioners for V636, this may be a heartbreaker for them.
There is. There's more coming in on the bottom lane. There is nobody, by the way, in the home base for V636. They're all on the map. I look to see maybe another 1,000. Oh, look at OV pouring in the points. 10 seconds left. V636 needs every point right now.
I think it's too late.
Oh, it's coming. Oh. It's coming. 1,000-point match right now. 1 second left.
I mean, I'm not ready to call it until we see who it was. I don't know. The MVP, Han the Devil, 159,000 points from V636. And it is an OV victory. Your Ark of Osiris League Season 3 Grand Champions. The returning Season 1 Ark of Osiris champions back in action, reclaiming their crown. Welcome back, Overlord, and congratulations, V636, for an amazing matchup with plays that nobody expected. Very impressive all the way around. Drop those GGs, drop those emojis into the chat. Bring the hype. What a match. Holy jeez. Dragothian, what just happened?
I'm composing. Just give me composing myself for just a moment. Less than 1,000-point victory for OV. Well done, by the way, to OV. Out provisioning their opponent by 1,300 points, and
that's the difference maker.
That was the difference. That was it. And it's interesting. I would like to see. I don't have them offhand, and probably being professional, I should. I should see what the scores were last match. I feel like V636 had more provisioning score last match than they did this match. I wonder if that was the difference on this match. However, I mean, can I just say the structure holding for V636 that they did at the very end, because again, before that structure move happened, which again, perfectly timed, before that happened, it was a foregone conclusion that Obi was going to win, because the steps are: get the Ark, hold it so you can't grab another one. I'm going to have a burst 4,000 points, and I win. That's the way it works. That's the way this match works. Well, if you've planned for that and you've adjusted, which V636 has shown these last 3 matches, by the way, that they know how to adjust to their opponent very well, you can counter that. And you can't say, traditionally, like we have in the past, that, if they do this, they're going to win. Well, not anymore. There's 3 phases to the game, and these teams that are in the grand finals know how to play all 3 of those phases. And if they planned it correctly, they can execute at the top level. And that was, I gotta say, one of the most top level matches that I've ever gotten the blessing to cast, let alone see. And I also gotta say, well done to OV. I mean, just it was slipping out of their grasps. And I wonder if in their battle command communication, they were like, who's got the provisioning? Like, tell me how many people we have provisioning right now, because that's what's going to win us the game. And then 50 people chimed up, or obviously not 50 people, but 50 marches maybe, and said, yeah, we got this. And then everybody breathed a sigh of relief, while the rest of us on the outside were sitting here biting our nails, staring at the point total, wondering who is going to win this match. OV with the grand finals. I got to say, Lilith did a great job with this mode. Last season, it was the Invitational Chiskel, and it has its up and downs. But this grand finals mode, I got to say, has been an absolute blast. Not only to cast, but just to experience. Well done to both teams. OV with the huge victory.
Yeah, this was amazing. Incredibly fun. Well played by everybody. I've got to hand it to OV for executing cleanly, and also to V636 for truly pioneering new strategies that we've never seen before and executing them so well. Very impressive all the way around. I mean, this is the grand finals that we wanted to see. Dragothian, I'm going to take us back to the caster's booth. Anything you want to add before I bring us there?
No, that I'm still processing what just happened. I will say, for those of you that bet on V636. Your hopes were dashed right there at the very end, and we got excited to maybe possibly grab a few extra coins there, to grab a few extra things inside of the shop there. But well done to OV. Great casting with you, Chisco, and this has been a great series to cast with you these last 3 weeks, and looking forward to seeing the next Osiris League season pop up, so we can get back at it and get cranking out some more quality Ark matches.
Let's go, baby. Dragothian, thank you. Let's head back to the booth. That has to be one of the most exciting matches we've ever watched. My friends, thank you so much for tuning in to this Ark of Osiris League Grand Finals. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel for videos that help you get a great start and learn how the game works in Rise of Kingdoms, as well as official casts of competitive gameplay. If you'd like to see daily videos for Rise of Kingdoms as well, check out the links in the description for my channel and Dragothian's channel. I think Dragothian will be live streaming shortly after this, the Pass 4 opening. I've got some footage on my channel today of someone getting imprisoned and rallied. There's no shortage of great stuff to watch, see, and do in Rise of Kingdoms, whether you're enjoying that from YouTube or in the game yourself, smashing your enemy and getting value. So hopefully you've had a grand old time in this grand finals. Pardon my punning. I'm a dad. I can do this. If you did, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.